Okay, so that's it for individual announcements. So we're going to actually do a special presentation for about 15 minutes from Scott, who's going to be talking about civil disobedience. Non-violent civil disobedience. Non-violent.
Yeah. Let's talk about civil disobedience first. Is somebody here from Shantasina?
Yeah, I am.
You can be here. Come up here and talk about it.
Talk about what?
So can we start off by having people raise their hand if they've ever been involved in any kind of civil disobedience? How about the converse, people that have never?
Besides the occupation.
Besides the occupation. How about people that have ever been involved in nonviolent resistance? If you've been involved in nonviolent resistance and you would like to talk a little bit about what it is, would you please come up to the stacker now? I need 3 or 4 people to come up and talk about their experience. Specifically, why they engage in nonviolent resistance. The nonviolent being the key word there. So, to start this conversation off, we really have to talk about who's been working on it. As everybody noticed today, the education tent, the university had a class on nonviolence today. It was the subject of the action committee. There was a meeting today to talk about our electronic response. If the cops come over the hill, what are we going to do? We need to talk about a couple things. Preparedness is really the key word. Apparently, when every other occupied has been so brutalized, it's really brought the group together. I'd like to see if we can bring the group together without having to be brutalized. And just as an aside, if we can do this well, we might be able to take the edge off of some of the polarization. And some of the things like what happened last night might be able to be better handled. If we're peaceful in the way that we're resisting and we're pacifist in the way that we do things, maybe that'll spread to other people here. So the First Aid Tent has put together, the First Aid Committee has put together a little flyer on things that we should be thinking about. There was a little preparedness sheet the other day. I think some people have seen them. If you haven't seen them, get a copy of them and read them. Specifically, people are putting together little jump packs, right? Particularly security, it's the peacekeepers and the medical tent are putting together jump packs. But everybody here should have some stuff that they're ready to run with, and people should be thinking about their belongings and what they need to get out of here. If you have valuables here and you have a car, go put them in your car, right? Don't leave them around because they're going to come in and they're going to bust up the tents. They're going to wait till you're not around and they're going to come through and destroy stuff, or they're going to hurt everybody in one direction and come in from the other direction. Just be kind of a little ready for it. But basically what we're saying is get yourself knowledgeable and get a plan together. So there are some people here that are going to stay. There are some people here that are going to go. And you need to make a very conscious decision about that. And there are different levels of participation. And people should think about whether they're going to be the type of person that runs out of here, gets in their car and drives home, or whether they're going to be someone that's going to go across the street and watch, whether they're going to be somebody that stands by, or people that engage in violence is the other extreme, right? And then somewhere in the middle there's going to be this core group of people that are going to be passive, nonviolent resistors. And some people came up to the stackers, I hope. Did anybody come up to talk about their experience? Can somebody come up and tell us a little bit about your experience and why you chose to be nonviolent and why that was strategic?
Okay, well, you might have noticed that I came with Silao and Linda. I've been working in Mexico for 25 years in human rights as an activist and defender of human rights. I'm going to tell you a little bit about a situation on the Mejia de Banderas in Mexico, where Puerto Vallarta is. And years ago, when Salinas de Gortari was president there, his brother stole 99 kilometers of beachfront. It had been a local area for the peoples there, when they distributed the land during the reform. And so the land had become very valuable, and Salinas' brother wanted to take the land, and he did, with a company, promising to develop it and share the wealth with the communities. Obviously, they had no intention of doing that. And they started moving people off of the land without having paid for it. And so we mobilized a movement kind of like this. And we brought food in from Guadalajara all the way down to the beach area. And we did that for many months. And that didn't make enough noise. So we wanted to get international attention for what we were doing. Because 99 kilometers is a hell of a lot of land and a lot of communities involved. So we then decided to block the federal highways. You couldn't do that here, and I'm not suggesting you do that. But that's what we did. And it was the only highway out of Puerto Vallartas, and that's a very big tourist area, as you can imagine. So it made a big impact, and the president actually asked for dialogues, and we did. And it didn't do any good. We got lots of promises. He flew a guy out with the presidential plane and so forth and talked to us. The media came, and in the end, the media was bought out. And, huh? Oh, sorry. Anyway, so I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm just saying that it doesn't always work. Sometimes the government just will not give up, and the greedy people will continue to try to get their way. So a lot of people were hurt, and I think you have to have strategy.
Anybody want to rebut some of that? We're going to keep moving on. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, there's other people on stack. Yeah, there's.
And we're actually going to close stacks for this. Try to make it sure we have about 4 people on stacks. So try to make it about 30 seconds if you can. If you have to be a minute, it's cool, but try to keep it short. Regina's next.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'll make it short. There's a lot of violent ones that I have seen, but the one that was non-violent that I chose to participate is in 93 in Big Mountain when we were doing resistance there. And there were actually people, opposing to the government issues, the Hopi and the Diné. So what we did was we were there to do the resistance against Peabody and the strip mining. And so what we did was we chose families to go there and to help. And by helping, we would herd the sheep, bring in the horses, and all these things. Well, there were snipers up on the mountain ranges, and we had deliveries of solar panels and equipment like here, and but they would undermine the operation and take it. So they deliberately did things that were aggressive, that could have turned into violence, but we chose not to. Also, bringing helicopters in and planes and relocating animals and things like that. So what we chose to do was go ahead and do like we do here and set up an encampment around the Hogans, and then we chose to bring in more people and do what we did. We set up an occupied in the encampment. Even though they did try to aggressively create violence, we chose not to. Thank you.
Mitchell.
I'm Mitchell. About 10 seconds. I am from Memphis, Tennessee. I was in the Martin Luther King marches and Jesse Jackson, all those people. I know people that got their heads beat in by National Guards and all that. What I want to point out is how proud I am of you guys. What I want to bring to your attention, you notice tonight there are no helicopters and there are no TV bands. Every time, I want you to know that you have been under attack and you have performed admirably. And what I want to bring to your attention to make sure that you're clear on, like last night, when that guy went through his changes, what you should do is move away from the disturbance and go on with what you're doing, because it is a deliberate attack. We haven't been, the police haven't come in here and raided everybody, but you have been attacked several times. I've seen it. But you have performed admirably, and I would encourage you to continue in what you've been doing. And if you see a disturbance, don't feed into the disturbance. Move away from the disturbance.
Sierra Legal next? Yes, Sierra Legal.
Thank you. They wanted 4 people to say why they came here and why we should be peaceful. We came here peaceful to demonstrate. And I came because I wanted to be peaceful. But we also want to be violent in our language and our message that we want change. And we want change now. We want the corruption to stop. We want to put a dent in it. We want to tell them that we're mad as hell and we're not taking it anymore. You have enough money to be happy in America. But spread the wealth. Because if you don't, guess what? Our forefathers saw this day coming where the rich and the poor would clash because they couldn't compromise. And they gave us the right to what? To the Second Amendment. To the Second Amendment.
That's right.
And in case you don't know what the Second Amendment is, it's the right to bear arms. I thank you.
We're peaceful.
So,
Well,
the
Abraham,
action committee today
Thomas
adopted a little
Jefferson said
practice that we're going to read out
to
loud
bear
for
arms to
everybody.
protect yourself from the tyranny of government. Check your
This Kat. Kat, can you please come up?
Thank you. My name's Kat. I was raised in thank you. With my mother. It was anti-war, anti-violence. So anti-violence training is something that is strong with me. The reason why this is important is because it is really, really easy to ignore an angry mob. We saw this in Tottenham. In fact, people still talk about the Rodney King riots and say that it was just angry poor people just blown off steam, and that is horribly wrong. But that's what comes with violence, is you can be pushed aside and you can be forgotten. To stand and to stay nonviolent and to hold true to your message and to look them in the eyes and to have that happen and to come back the next day, that's the most powerful thing you can do. My mother can't be here tonight because she can no longer stand because we were at a protest against police brutality where they were brutal. But I'm here today to stand with you guys. Just look them in the eye and to remain peaceful at all costs. Thank you.
Hey, Mike? Mike?
Years ago in the 80s, on the Las Vegas Strip, we used effective